Hi guys, welcome to Interior Insights. I'm Jane and we are standing in Paris in the heart of architecture and design. And today we are going to look at an 18th century mansion in the heart of Paris, right next to the Pantheon. And actually right around the corner of this incredible house, Emily in Paris has been filmed. So we are really standing in the center of where everything is happening. This house is actually the home of the owner of Homanie, which shows hand-picked and well-designed locations all around Europe. The couple bought this house for their family in 2003 and renovated the entire building. This mansion is over 200 years old and used to belong one single family before this and was just inherited throughout the generations. So this is the second family that is living here. And because the family has 4 kids, in 2016 a third level was added to the house to just fit the expansion of the family. But if you wouldn't know this, you wouldn't really see it because it was done very well. And you still just have the seamless historical French facade. As you know, in Paris usually everything is quite tight and you don't have that much nature. So this house actually has its own garden with even a swimming pool. At the same time, we have this very calm little oasis in the center of the city. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And now let's go inside. As we come in, we walk right inside the open living area. And you can see that even though we have a historic facade and the historic charm has been kept throughout the apartment, you still have a very modern place. The entire house has been renovated again in 2016, so we have a very high standard. As soon as you walk in, you are greeted by this expansive library and you can go into both directions. Over here we have the living room, and to the other side you can go inside the dining room, which then again leads you to the kitchen. Now this is actually my absolute favorite part of the house, the heart of the home, and that is the kitchen. And the kitchen is just your absolute dream Parisian kitchen. The wooden panels are painted in a charcoal gray. And it just instantly reminds you that you are in Paris, in the heart of architecture. And I absolutely love and adore these panels. And if you want to get our free design guide, you can get the link in the description, or you can also sign up for a newsletter. And of course, we have our own Instagram where we post behind the scenes content and just more daily updates. So you can also find us there. The kitchen actually is an extension of the building and formerly used to have a tilted roof, but the couple decided to exchange it for a flat roof so that you could have a terrace that I will show you later. Another little detail that just lightens up this kitchen is the light shaft that we have right above me. And it just brings in so much natural light and it's an absolute gem. And what I also love about this kitchen is that it isn't too luxurious or too pretentious, but that you just have a little round farmer's table and farmer's chairs that are standing around it. And you can just imagine the couple having a cup of coffee in the morning or writing down something, and it just feels very homey and just has a very, almost like a farm-like atmosphere. And I absolutely love it. And of course, in every proper Parisian kitchen, we need a cast iron metal oven, which is just absolutely incredible to have. On top of it, we again have this cast iron pot, and it just adds this very rustical, but of course, still sophisticated touch. Because we are so lucky, and on the outside you have this little oasis of a garden. Whenever you do your dishes, you can just look outside through the historic French windows and look inside your garden and see the birds chirping, or currently it's raining, unfortunately. And you can just really feel in the energy of the room that this is the heart of the home. And just in this shelf, you can see the family's expansive collection of architecture and design books. And I love that a lot of family artworks have been kept. This, for example, is a sculpture of the grandfather, and it's just been passed throughout generations. And all of the little different sculptures and artworks we can see are just family treasures that have been collected throughout the years. And over here we come into the living room area. Formerly, this part of the house actually used to be a bedroom, but the couple decided to turn it into an extension of the living room so that you have more space. The center of this room is the historic fireplace from the 18th century. And on top of the fireplace, we have a grand, luxurious gold mirror that just acts as a focal point, enlarges the room, and as soon as you enter the room, it just pulls and draws in your attention. And one little piece that I really like that also acts as decoration, but of course also has its own purpose, is this big harp that we have standing, because two of the kids of the families love to play the harp. And you see that it isn't hidden or tucked inside the corner. It just acts as a statement inside this room and gives it a very unique and lively atmosphere. With these historic architecture that stems from the French Revolution, the facades are always marked by very tall windows that go all the way up to the ceiling. And they give the wall its own little rhythm and at the same time let a lot of light come in. And this historic structure just floods the room with light and gives it its own little repetition. The furniture is very modern, so you have a very strong contrast of the historic facade and the historic structure of the building. And this contrast adds attention and makes it seem very effortless. And throughout the living space and also the rest of the rooms that we will have a look at, you have a very minimal and reduced color palette that speaks of sophistication and elegance. We have very muted colors like charcoal gray or soft browns and whites. Now, when I first came inside this house, I would have never guessed that the artwork that is hanging above the sofa table isn't actually a painting, but it's actually a photograph of a woman. And it has also been taken in Paris in a parking lot. And again, it just also draws in this very muted, sophisticated color palette, and it also just reminds me of this nostalgic Parisian flair. Over here we have a little desk where you can work during the day while looking outside into your little garden. The layout that we have in this house is very typical for houses that have a few different floors, so that the entire living area is in the ground floor. So when you have guests in, this is basically your public area where you entertain. But at the same time, all of the more private spaces, such as the bathrooms or bedrooms, are hidden upstairs, and you still have this privacy inside your own house. The dining room area is also very sophisticated and again has this muted and very relaxed color palette. We have a big wooden table and soft fabric chairs that just add this perfect balance of elegance and comfort, because this house was really meant to be the home of a family and not just a display of luxury. So every little detail is here to just turn this house into a home, and you can just feel it in every direction that you look at. And you can see that even though we have very modern furniture, we still have a very classical and symmetrical layout. So on top of the cabinet that spans across the wall behind the table, we have a very big artwork by a very cool French artist who loves to draw these tutus from the ballerina dancers. And the abstract artwork gives this room just a very relaxed, dreamy atmosphere. Now, behind this custom wooden door, the powder room and wardrobe is hiding, so that whenever you have guests staying over, everybody, or just the family themselves, everybody can just put their things inside here and close the door, and it just always looks neat whenever there's people coming over. And these are the types of rooms that are often forgotten, or that you don't think about when creating your own space, but they're super important, well curated and clean atmosphere in your home. This little corner has been used again very well. You have a tucked in, almost hidden shelf where you can just display some of your favorite books, or we even have a fossil that has been put inside. And of course, family pictures are important, but it's also always important to remember to not just let them go out of hand. And this family just has a little curated collection of family portraits throughout the years, and it just collects them here in the staircase. And this is again a very simple yet great way to elevate a tight space. And now we will go inside the ensuite bedroom that actually takes up the entire first floor. And as soon as you walk in, you feel like you're in a hotel. You can definitely see that an interior designer has been at work, because the entire ensuite bedroom is equipped with custom cupboards in this dark walnut wood, and it just feels very luxurious and thoughtfully curated. And this is what's so genius about these custom shelves, is that they act almost like walls. You don't really notice them, but at the same time they store all of your clutter, and whenever you come home after a long day, everything is perfectly clean. So over here we have a little seating area where you can rest or read a book, and the entire row of Haussmannian windows has been draped with curtains on both sides of each window. And they just again create this repetition inside the design and just add this extra luxurious level of comfort, because you just have so much fabric inside this room. And here we walk into the actual proper bedroom that is again a very clean and minimalist space that just speaks of modern comfort and quiet luxury. You can again see that we have a perfect sense of symmetry inside the room that just cites the historic classical architecture of the building. At the same time, we still have all of these wooden touches that turn it from a regular bedroom into a hotel-like atmosphere. And on both sides of the bed, we have little niches that are completely covered in brown leather. And again, you just have this little hotel-like experience. And they're illuminated with beautiful golden lamps that just give off this very warm light. And over here, we even again have our own little chimney. Behind these walls, we have a wardrobe hiding, which seamlessly integrates itself into the wall. And on this side, we have our own little desk, as well as a bathroom. And here we have very historical pieces and a wooden desk. And the view again is the garden and the outside. And all of the clutter that comes with having a working area is hidden behind this wooden cabinet. Over here is the bathroom, and we are greeted by a freestanding, generous hot tub that is standing in front of a wall that has been paneled with dark walnut wood again. On one side we have a very big vanity with 2 sinks and a very large mirror that enlarges the space and lets the light bounce around in the room. And my favorite thing about this bathroom is actually that behind this wooden wall we have the toilet hiding, so we just have this very invisible situation that has been created. And on this side we again have a fully equipped shower. And as I told you in the kitchen before, the roof has been turned into a flat modern roof, so that this ensuite actually has its own little outside terrace. And you know that whenever you have a terrace, you just have so much more life quality, because in the summer you can open the doors and just let the outside flood in. You just have this natural extension of the space. And I love the fact that because of this light shaft, we can actually look inside the kitchen. Now, let me show you the 3rd floor that has been added in 2016. One of the only details where you can actually see that the 3rd floor isn't actually from the 18th century is because we have a modern staircase. And I love that the designer decided to do this, that you didn't just basically create a fake historical staircase, but that instead you accentuated and showed the marks that you left on the building with a modern one. And this is one of the few moments in the house you were reminded of the sometimes narrow spaces in Paris, because we have a very steep and very narrow staircase. Now, this is really the home of the kids, and this is the first of the 4 bedrooms that we will find here. And honestly, if I would have had this bedroom when I was a child, it would have been my absolute dream. Because over here you have your own little space, and the entire space is very minimal and modern, but you have this bright blue wall that just adds this very strong and bold accent, and I love it. And you can still see that the space itself is very curated. We have vases or plants or even a little seating area. And there's so many secrets hiding in this bedroom. So if we go upstairs, we come to the actual sleeping area. You can see that the staircase again has been marked with this bright blue railing, and it just again adds this almost postmodern aspect to the design. And now come upstairs with me. You just have your own little sanctuary, and little bits of the same bright blue color just create this very cohesive design story and make it feel very sophisticated, but at the same time still very modern. And the entire space is minimal and clean. And one of the few very cool things in this room is that over here we have a little net where you can relax. And this of course is amazing for a tight space, because it just lets you use the space while still having a 2-story bedroom. I would have really loved this when I was a kid. And now to the absolute best thing that I've seen in this house yet, is that actually here, through this door, you actually have your own little entry into the bedroom of the second child. And you actually have 2 twins living here. So basically, when the twins were younger, they had the secret little passage that would let them just go to each other's rooms. This bedroom itself has the exact same layout as the other bedroom, but we have a very different design. So here the colors are even more muted. It's still very minimalist, but instead of all of the blue accents, we have black accents. So it feels much more minimal, and you can see that we have 2 Bauhaus prints here. The kids also have their own little library hiding behind the round staircase. And this again is just another great use of space and having multiple functions for the same space, because this exact wall could have just been kept completely unused. And the kids even have their own little bathroom, or multiple bathrooms, but I will just show you this one. And again, you have a perfectly curated, clean, minimalist space with 2 sinks, so nobody has to fight. It's just an absolute dream. If you like this apartment, you will love this other apartment that we also filmed in France.